What's up guys, San Diego Kook here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to take you through my DIY fishing kayak, Yakagawea. So for those of you that have been following the channel, you're probably thinking, what? I haven't seen you on a kayak once. Well, I actually do quite a bit of kayak fishing. I know most of my videos are on the offshore fishing boats in local San Diego, so I am going to start doing some more footage of the kayak fishing, and so I figured I'd start with a walkthrough of my DIY kayak here. If you find this video helpful, please like the video, leave a comment, ask me any questions, subscribe to the channel, would really appreciate that, and yeah, let's get going. Alright guys, so one of the things that you might notice right away is this is actually a tandem kayak. So there is a seat in the front and there is a seat underneath. Well, it's actually right there. And there's another hatch underneath there, under the crate. So the reason I've got a tandem is because my wife and I started getting into kayaking about 3 years ago, and this is the first and only kayak we have purchased. So we really enjoy going out together, but I wanted to be able to make this thing do double duty, and so I tried to configure it as a single fishing kayak. I do have a little lip here where you can kind of convert it into a single. It's a little far up in the front of the kayak, if you can kind of see there. It's a little closer to the middle, where a lot of the single person fishing kayaks have a little bit further back positioning on the seat. So, you know, doesn't track the best, but it was cheap. I think we got this thing for 500 bucks on Craigslist, so, you know. So let's walk through this thing. We'll start at the front and we'll work our way towards the back, and I'll just kind of explain to you what I did to kind of outfit this thing for ocean fishing. I typically take this out in La Jolla Cove or San Diego Bay or Mission Bay, but mostly La Jolla Cove, punching through the surf right off the beach. So let me tell you how I rigged it out. Alright guys, so this is the front of the boat. So like I said, this is actually a tandem kayak. So we'll see, this is where the seat typically would be. And so we've got a front hatch here, and we have a Scotty rod holder mount. This came with the boat. It was pre-installed. I keep this in, but I rarely use it because, again, it is a little bit far from the seat there. Kayak does have a couple, again, not very useful rod holders. I guess it would be useful if you are using it as a tandem, which again, my wife and I do that, so it is useful then, but as a single, these really are not all that useful. So because of being out of reach of some of these accessories that the boat comes with, I did install 2 YakAttack mounts, one on each side of the boat. So we got one here underneath, we got another one on this side of the boat. I think these are the 9-inch, and honestly they're perfect and for me, and they fit right where I need them to. So some of the accessories I picked up, I did get the rocket launcher. I just prefer the rocket launcher style of rod holder. They're just simple, no fuss. I picked up one of the roto molded kayak clips. I really want to get another one of those actually, because the way this used to actually sit on this side of the kayak, and so I could put my paddle right in it, and it was really easy and quick access. But since I got the fish finder set up, I've moved it over here. Still useful, but then it comes across the bow a little bit and it kind of sits in my lap. So I'll use that for my paddle a lot of times still. or sometimes I'll actually, if I'm fiddling with the rod, I'll stick it in there and kind of troll around with it. Center hatch, nothing too exciting. I think everyone's seen these. It's got a little cheapo baggie. I used to use this quite a bit for knives and tools and such, but I did just pick up an NRS Chinook life vest, and this thing has been awesome already. I'm loving it. I've only used it a couple times, but just having everything, I mean, I got my phone case, I got my pliers in this front pocket, got a knife, I put little bits of, you know, hooks and weights in here, my GoPro batteries, which probably should take about 10 of those. But yeah, this thing's been really awesome. It is a little expensive. I think it was about 120 bucks or 130 bucks, but definitely worth it. So that hatch I mostly just use for anything extra, maybe some snacks or you know, whatever I just kind of forget to load into the rest of the kayak and need it for quick access. One of the things you're going to see here is I did pick up a Garmin. I think this is the 4CV or something like that, but pretty cheap, but super handy. It's been something new to try to figure out, and it's been pretty cool. I was going to set this thing up with a transducer mount, maybe in the hole, but I just didn't want to really drill too much into this thing. You know, like I said, it's unbranded. I have no idea what this is. It's 12 feet long, 35 inches wide. I think the closest thing that I've seen is a Elkton Outdoors, which looks pretty similar, but honestly I think there's a lot of companies that use the same mold, just kind of no-name brands. But anyway, I was going to set this up with a kind of DIY transducer, but I sound like I'm probably sponsored by YakAttack or something, but I ended up getting the YakAttack mount and the transducer arm, the Switchblade arm, and honestly what sold it for me is that the whole thing is on this base right here, so I can pop this off. It's all one unit, which is really nice. So I can just pop that off, and the reason I really like it is all one unit as opposed to having to piece it together is because I mount this thing on the top of my car when I'm traveling. So I don't have a truck, I have an SUV, so I load it on top of the SUV, and so I have to take everything off when I load this thing onto the car. So it's really nice to have this all as one unit. You literally can just slide it right off the track and put it in a bag and you're good to go. Speaking of bags, I basically put all the cabling in a dry bag and just sit it right here on the deck. This battery is awesome. This Nocqua, this is the 4.4 amp hour version, so it's the smaller one, but I've taken this out for over 8 hours of running this GPS and transducer, and when I come back after 8 hours, I've still got like 80% battery life left. So this thing is sweet, and it's waterproof. You don't have to worry about the whole freaking case, and you know, guys DIY these plastic things and drill holes in them and stuff. Just spend 30 extra bucks and go get this. It's way worth it. Working my way down, we got the seat. This thing this isn't the most comfortable seat, guys. This is just your standard crappy kayak seat. Clips in. Again, this is kind of the middle of the kayak. It's not really necessarily a seat. These clips were for the front seat, and those ones are for the back seat, and I just made it work. So clip this thing in. Nothing special about this. Yeah, you can imagine 8 hours gets a little tiring on your back, but whatever, I'm still young. Next thing we got is the DIY crate and my rod holders. So again, you know, this is one of those things that I'm looking online. I'm not gonna spend $150 for a freaking crate when my kayak cost me $500 total. So this is one of those things. I just went and bought a couple of crates, and I bought this little plastic mount for just regular plastic mount for the rod holders, and just screwed it onto the back. And honestly, it works awesome. You know, a lot of times I just leave all my stuff in here and just spray it all out in the end of the day. It just drains out the bottom. Again, I'm looking for something super simple, super easy to remove, since I have to put this thing on the kayak or on the top of the car. So I've just got some rubber bungee straps, and that's pretty much it. I put all my tackle back here. I put you know, my fish grips, my sunscreen, extra knife, some gloves, just whatever. Typically I only bring one tackle box with me. This is kind of what I use. It's just one of the Plano waterproof, you know, clip ones. So usually I'm just targeting bigger game fish, so I'm trying to catch bait with a sabiki and drag around live bait, and I just bring these for jigs, hooks, weights. Really simple. Again, I want to get on the water quick. I don't want to fuss with a bunch of stuff. I don't have a ton of room, so I keep it to one box most of the time. One thing I do bring with me for sure is a game clip, one of the bigger game clips. I tried using one of the string, you know, just your typical like rope stringer, and it is a massive pain in the butt because it just gets wound around everything, and this is way better. As far as rods, I usually take 3 to 4 with me. So if I've got 3 spots here, and if I do 4, I'll just throw the one in the front as I'm headed out through the surf. As far as keeping these things tied down, I just bought some cheap lanyards on Amazon. These have no metal parts, so hopefully they'll hold up a little bit better in the salt water. And I just clip, besides this clip, I guess, I just clip this to the side of the kayak, and then I can reach back and grab it and keep it leashed for most of the time. All right, so behind that, I've got an empty spot. A lot of times I'll just put a dry bag with my lunch, or if I've got, sometimes I'll carry some squid for bait if I'm rock fishing or whatever, and I'll just put a little plastic baggie with my squid back here, or a little bag cooler, a little crappy one. This spot I really don't use that often unless I'm in it as a 2-person, because again, this seat is so far forward that it's really tough to reach back there to get anything, especially with the crate here. So that just goes unused, as do these rod holders. So again, part of the reason for a lot of the modifications I've had to make is just due to the fact that it is actually a tandem kayak, so none of the features were really set up to be for a single. Last thing, guys, is this guy right here, and this is probably the most important part. This is a bait tube. If you're out there in La Jolla, typically what we're doing is we're trying to catch mackerel on a sabiki, and you got to keep them alive somehow. And again, you know, you can get one of those Hobie or you know, other type of live well that's super fancy and costs you like $400 to keep your bait fish alive, and it's got all this, you know, through the scupper stuff, and you got to carry an extra battery, and I don't have any room for it anyways, so I just made a bait tube, and it's just a piece of ABS pipe. You guys have probably seen these before, but ABS pipe with a couple drainage caps on either end and a bungee to hold the top on. So I just drag this, I pull the bungee off, and I throw my bait right in there, and it works great. Honestly, even if I had a nicer kayak, I don't think I would get one of those live wells, just because it's just, again, it's another complication, you know. This is super simple, drags behind me, I don't even notice that's there, and it cost me, you know, 20 bucks or something to make, as opposed to $300, $400, and then having to worry about the wiring, the battery charging the night before, all that stuff. So that's it, guys. That is my cheap DIY fishing kayak walkthrough. If you like this sort of thing, let me know. You know, do a thumbs up, give me a comment, something like that. I'll do some more of these kind of DIY type behind the scenes videos, and again, working on getting some kayak fishing footage. So a lot of times people look at you a little funny when you say you take a big chunk of plastic out into the ocean and go fishing for big fish, but honestly, it is something that is really accessible here in Southern California. It's really cool. If you haven't caught fish off a kayak, there's really nothing like it. It's just a completely different experience, and I really encourage anybody to go out and try it. Just wanted to point out, you know, you don't really need one of these big fancy fishing kayaks to get out on the water and catch fish. I have caught lots of fish in this thing, including a really awesome yellowtail.
Yellow!
Oh.
Great fight.
Great fight.
With this,
great fish.
with this guy.
I'm freaking stuck. Hooked into a big thresher that I lost the other day. It's definitely possible to get some really great fishing in on one of these out in the ocean. Now, I would love to have a really nice big fishing kayak again, but they are expensive, and this is working pretty well for me. I actually like paddling. You know, they have all the drive systems now, and while I think they'd be really awesome, honestly, I would love the hands-free fishing aspect of it. There's something about just paddling a kayak around that just, it's enjoyable, it's fun. So even if I did get one of those fishing kayaks, I'd probably be looking for something that you can do both with, you know, maybe like a Revo, one of the Hobie Revos or something like that, where you can pedal or you can paddle, and it paddles really well still. You know, again, you just really don't need one of those really big, expensive kayaks. Don't let that stop you from going to get in the water and learning about your local area. Something like this will work just fine. You know, at some point, you get really into it, upgrade. But to start out, just get something. Get on the water. Appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe and give a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.